Hello and welcome everybody to Entangled Frequencies, the channel all about music making and sound design. This episode serves as the starting episode for our Getting into Ableton playlist. And we're gonna check out what the basic functions of Ableton are and see how the interface looks like and what it has to offer. I own Ableton in the Suite version, the latest one, 9.7.1. whatever, and the latest update has been a huge one. They added different filtering methods in the auto filter as well as in the operator, the main synthesizer of Ableton. And most of all, they added multi-screen support, which enables you to separate your arrangement view and your track view onto two different screens of your computer. So not long of a talk, let's just head over. This is Ableton. We got different windows here. On the top left, we have the Explorer view, which is giving you access to all your devices and your samples. Here in the center right, we have the track view activated at the moment. And we can as well switch over to the arrangement view by clicking this button here on the top right side. Now we are in the arrangement view. You have a timeline here. If you are if you're making a composition or you are composing the track and making a time arrangement, then you hook up with that view. If you're trying to find a nice loop with which you can work on, then you are rather doing that here in the track view. I will come back to that later. And yeah, underneath here we got our rack, so we can find our synthesizers and audio effects located on one track here. For instance, I can just drag in the operator and put it on a MIDI lane here, and it appears in our rack view. If I now check out the audio effects and want to apply an equalizer, then I can just drag it in there and put it right after the synthesizer and apply the equalization, eliminating certain frequencies or amplifying them with the equalizer. So on the bottom left, we can activate an info window, which is giving us information about certain values on which we are pointing at with our mouse. If I am pointing at the frequency of our filter and the synthesizer operator, it will give me a hint what it actually does in the information window. As it writes filter frequencies, this defines the center or cutoff frequency, blah blah. So if you are thinking about certain values and if you don't know the effect of certain values, if you are manipulating them, just check out the info view. So yeah, back to the Explorer view. We have the instrument axis here. This is the factory pack of Ableton. When we click on audio effects, we have the factory pack of Ableton audio effects, and we got some MIDI effects here. And if you own the Suite version, you have some Max for Live patches, which are located here. And if you are using third-party virtual instruments, for short VSTs, then you just click on plugins, and there you have everything else. In my case, I own the Native Instruments Complete Ultimate 10 package, and everything which is in there is located here. In places, you can point on folders on your hard drive. So in my case here, I pointed to my hard drive I called Sound Production, and here I got my library, my database of stuff that I own. I made this folder YT for YouTube, and there are some example samples which I gonna use now, because I want to tell you something about the difference of MIDI and audio tracks here. The MIDI tracks is always corresponding to MIDI clips, which you set in the piano roll, which are then activating your synth. By double clicking, you can add a MIDI clip and you get this piano roll. And within the piano roll, you can set your notes. And if you're now starting the MIDI clip, the notes will be played automatically. And the notes and the MIDI clips are just controlling your synthesizer, which is located here in the rack. If you're using an audio track, you cannot use MIDI clips. You can just drag in some waveforms, which I am doing now. I have here this crow sound. If I pull the waveform onto that track here, double click it, here is the waveform, I can play it. So yeah, and that's the audio track. If we are now want to use the arrangement view, we can just click on that thing here on our clip and then drag it over to this tiny button in our arrangement view, and then just drag it in here for our composition. And what you actually have to keep in mind is that the clip, if you have activated in the track view, is not activated in the arrangement view. If you are playing that now, there won't be any sound. If you want to have the sound coming out from the arrangement view, then you have to click this tiny button, and then the sound plays easily. If you have activated it here, and then you want to have the sounds coming from the arrangement view, and you are in the track view, the tiny button is located here. You can click there as well. If you have a MIDI clip and not a waveform like this one, you can do the same procedure, taking the operator MIDI clip, dragging that over, putting it in here, and yeah, let's play it. You should hear both. You must not need to drag it onto that button. You can as well click the tab key on your keyboard, computer keyboard, and then you're going into very quick and easy. So yeah, that's actually the handling of the track and the arrangement view. Let's see what the track view has to offer as well. We have these tiny buttons here, and if we deactivate them, we have a lot of space and a very good overview. Sometimes we don't need to make adjustments there, sometimes we do. So let's check all these tiny buttons. Clicking on I/O, we get the audio routing options here. I will make a separate video clip for that. Let's leave it like that. We got the S and R here, which is standing for our send and returns. So when we have a track here and we got the send buttons, if we're pulling up this knob to the maximum, we send the full signal to our return channel A, which in this case is a reverb. So if I'm playing it now, we should get a reverberated crow. Oh, wait a second, I will just that one here, so do not have any confrontation with both. So yeah, now we should get a reverberated crow. If I play it without any send, it's pretty dry. So this signal is gonna be sent to the return channel, and when we click here, we have our reverb in there. We can as well delete it, or we can even drag an equalizer into it and yeah, eliminate frequencies which should not be within the reverb. Yeah, the next button here is the M, standing for the mixer, and here we have the option to control our volume, to mute certain tracks or to solo tracks, And very important, we have these tiny buttons here. When we activate this one, we arm that track for our MIDI input from our devices. If I'm now clicking on my small tiny MIDI keyboard here, pushing the keys rather said, the MIDI input from my controlling device will then correspond to the channel here. Or the channel here will correspond to the MIDI input of my controller. So yeah, what do we have as well? We have the D for track delay. If we want to shift the starting point from the track a little, we can do that here. And we have the X button here, which is offering us a crossfader. If you're wanting to make a DJ performance from out of Ableton, then you might use that. So yeah, well, what do we have as well? I guess that's actually the basic things. Yeah, the things which are located here on the very top are for controlling your session. You have a MIDI link if you want to hook up Ableton with other external devices using a MIDI output of your sound card. You can control it here. You can tap in the speed of the BPM of your track, and you can add a metronome. You can set the bars. Here you can control play, the play function and the recording function. The recording function is very useful in, for instance, adding automation. For that reason, I will just give a small example. So I will just change the synthesizer here to a little bit more overtone, rich, to a sound more rich of overtones. See? Yes, so that's the sound. I just drag the filter up and down. For controlling your filter via your MIDI device, your external MIDI device, you can map certain functions by clicking on this button here, MIDI. And now everything is blue. You click on one value, and then on your external MIDI device, you, for instance, twist the knob here, and then you can see it's displayed here. And if I deactivate it and now twist the knob, which I mapped on this value, you manipulate it. My hardware here. Yes, and what I wanted to say is that you can arm your track, your MIDI clip, for instance, with these buttons here. If I am now clicking on this tiny E here, I go into the envelope section. When I twist the knob on my controller, you can see the value will move up and down accordingly to the value of the filter. This is indicated here. The device is the operator, and the automation lane here we have activated is the filter frequency listed here, and yeah, we can control that. If we are wait a second, we will make the loop a little longer. Let's go back and click on dupli loop. Now we have 2 bars. Now we have 4 bars. Let's go back to the envelope section. So we got 4 bars, which we now want to manipulate with our input, our physical input. Then we can click on this thingy here and arm the track. If we're now the crow. So now while playing, we recorded our MIDI input, and it's now it's now setting the filter on this lane or accordingly to the values here. Now that I have twisted the knobs, the automation that we have recorded recently will not be activated anymore. To reactivate them, you have to click on this button, and now you should hear that the filter is moving. Let's head over, or no, let's see it first in the MIDI clip. We go over to our rack view. We can see here that the filter knob is moving up and down accordingly to what we actually have recorded. So yeah, you can do that with that, and you can set loop functions. Let's drag it to the arrangement view. If we have an arrangement like that, in your composition it's gonna be a lot more complex, but you have this time line here, or this small thingy which with which you can set bars that are repeated. So if you are now playing that part and you want to listen to it again, at the moment it just continues to the rest of the track. If we are clicking this, we have a loop function. We'll just repeat that tiny part we have selected. So yeah, that's actually about it. That's the main interface of Ableton. While checking out the preferences, we have our audio device here that we can select it. I got the ISO driver type because it has very low latency, and here as the audio device I used my internal routing system, the Voicemeeter Banana. I've made a clip, check out the other playlists how to use it. And yeah, in the options you can as well set files and folders where you have located your virtual instruments, or set the temp folder. And yeah, most important from the preferences is as well this link thingy, because here you can set or configure all your MIDI devices, your physical MIDI devices, in my case the Akai MPK Mini and the here. You can set remote control and everything else. And yeah, that's actually about it. That have been the basic functions of Ableton, and yeah, I hope you learned something and you liked it, and I hope to see you soon in the following videos. And yeah, as always, groove on.